Yo, it's your boy Trevor David Jones, back up at it. My Hero Academia, Season 6, Episode 18, Izuku Midoriya and Tomura Shigaraki. This is why we watch My Hero. Another sick episode, sleeveless for Midoriya. Let's jump right in. The positives. Okay, they opened with the one-for-all dimension, okay? The one-for-all dimension had the rainbow lights, all the users of one-for-all. The rating that I gave this episode, I actually gave it the rating right then. I gave it the rating at that moment, and it held that quality, that feeling for the entire episode. So luckily I kept the rating, but that opening was so epic and so dope that I gave it the rating on the spot. You're looking at the one-for-all dimension. This is some literally extra dimensional type stuff. Yeah, inspirational, just dope. Got me hyped right from the beginning. A solid opening. Okay. The comedy. So it seemed very serious, which ultimately it was, but they brought in the comedy elements with the users of One for All. Each one of them had their own sense of humor. The dude with Black Whip, the Danger Sense, the fourth user, I believe. We'll get into him in a second. They know how to put just enough weight, but also just enough levity. That's one of the best parts of My Hero. It's like, it's a critical element of the show, and they showed it again here. I mean, very serious, but it had me cracking up too. Like, shout out for the comedy. Okay, so skipping forward just a bit, still in the One for All dimension. Finally, for the first time in the whole show, during season 6, I mean, apparently it's about to wrap up, but we'll get to that in a second as well. We get some actual information on One for All. In season 6, I was happy, but I'm like, yo, finally some solid details. So they cut to the past with the fourth user, and he was like a monk, or he made himself a monk. And he said he basically spent his life, at least 18 years, running from All for One. So like I've said before, All for One, he got to be at least about 300 years old, somewhere in there. So he spent most of his life running from All for One and training and, increasing the power of One for All. So we got to see this dude actually in the past, another user of One for All, doing something. First time we've really seen that aside from like Nana Shimura a little bit in the whole show. I was like, whoa, we get some details. And not only that, they actually went into what One for All, into more of what it is, because it's still very mysterious. There's a very strong mystery element to the whole show. But they actually got just deeper into it in this 30-minute episode. We're going to get to that in just a second. Another positive, Nana on swole mode, yo. Shout out to who illustrates her, or like who, because they clearly like that character. The drawings, all the drawings in the whole show are crisp. But that Nana character model, that drawing is just so dope. She's yoked up, looks great. I get hype every time I see Nana on screen because it's just drawn so well. She's drawn so well. So another shout out to Nana, another shout out to the artist, another shout out to being swole. And My Hero loves to throw these one-liners in there that just have so much power. And All Might, when he goes to Hawks and Best Jeanist, I'll tell you everything. Whew, I got hype. The cat's out of the bag now, man. Like, the show is really, in season 6, accelerating forward. One for All is one of the greatest secrets of the whole series, as well as where quirks came from to begin with. So, like, it was up there with last episode. What is One for All? Whew, those one-liners that just send shivers down your spine. I'll tell you everything. I was like, man, this is legit. Like, he about to tell them about One for All. Presumably the whole story. Super sick. Okay, so room for improvement. Nothing. I'm going to have to start, I say this every week, but I'm going to start picking through a little cleaner, a little more fine-tooth comb through these episodes because I can't let them all scot-free every episode, but the pacing was great, the animation, some more, and not just some backstory on One for All, some real information like events. Legit! Yeah, I'll see if I can come up with a room for improvement next episode, but this show is, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, the rating, a 9 out of 5, man. Usually 9 out of 5, usually like 6 out of 5, anything over the standard rating scale is like once a season, once every 2 seasons, a few episodes per the whole show. This show is getting way outside the rating scale on every episode. And I'm not just giving these away. If something is a 1 out of 5 or a 2 out of 5 or whatever, I'm going to give it the appropriate rating. These episodes are just that good. They're insane. And it's all of them. So the reason this one got a 9 out of 5 is it happened in the opening scene, like I said earlier. Once it just showed that floating stone with all the previous One For All users floating in whatever dimension they're in with the rainbow light background, I was like, this is on another level. I gave it a 9 out of 5 at that moment, 2 minutes into the episode, just for showing that degree of epicness. It already had a 9, not a 6 out of 5, a 9 out of 5. That got me hyped. I watched these shows early in the morning and I watched them to get hyped, and this did the trick. And it held that feeling, it held that quality for the entire episode. So it's a well-deserving 9 out of 5. And the fact that it gave us information on One For All, and the fact that it gave us all these things, and like more and more, and the comedy, and Nana Shimura's drawing kept coming out, that kept it going. But I gave it that 9 out of 5 within the first 2 minutes of the episode. Just that dope. Another insane episode in an insane series. So I do this rarely, but now it's time for it. Additional comments. In a movie or a show, whenever there's just something I need to talk about which expands beyond the range of like the positives or, even an expanded positive, I'll throw in some additional comments. And this is deserving. They finally gave us some history on One For All, but like some real information and some critical information about the future of One For All. Again, I don't read the manga, so y'all already know this. I need to start reading the manga. I said every week. But, yeah, so this is all new to me. So we know from the past, One For All started with All For One. I think he's the origin of all quirks, but the series is going to have to reveal that. So he had the quirk that could stockpile power, which is partially like one of the major elements of One For All. And he passed it to his brother because he saw him as having nothing, like no power. So he gave him what would turn out to be like the strongest quirk of all time by a pretty large margin. But his brother had another quirk, which is to pass quirks on to other people. So those two quirks, to pass quirk on and to stockpile power, blended into what we know as All For One, as a One For All. Again, one of the strongest quirks in the entire series, if not the. Shout out Eddie with Rewind, but One For All is no joke, okay? It's not for the play. So they said that over time, it kept getting passed on, but the fourth user, I believe, with the danger sense, he died of old age at the age of 40. And he can't even, I guess, remember the end of his life. But he said at about 40 years old, cracks started to appear in his body. And the symptoms were, the cause of death was determined to be old age. So in real time, all the One For All users are just chopping it up, figuring it out. And they're like, they realize that if you have a quirk, One For All will burn your body out more quickly. I kind of think they just wrote that in. I'm not trying to nitpick on the show, but it's okay. So if you have a quirk, the way they put it, you have a vessel that's already full, and One For All, or any other quirk for that matter, would just overflow it. Or, I guess the only person who isn't affected by that is All For One himself. His power is to steal other people's quirks, as well as a lot of other powers related to that, but at any rate. So it doesn't affect him that way. But One For All, when it's passed on, if you already have a quirk, they determine this in real time. It'll burn your body out much quicker. So All Might and Deku don't have quirks naturally. All Might had One For All for 40 years and was freestyling. He could have had it longer had he, got injured by All For One. He showed no signs of slowing down, no signs of any adverse effects whatsoever. So, he was good. Quirkless. Deku, the next one. So they determined that fate eventually chose people nature really, the universe corrected its path and chose people with no quirks so that One For All could be used properly and for an extended amount of time. But they also determined that because the users of One For All were finally starting to materialize in this dimension, they can talk to each other, spirit realm type stuff, avatar type stuff. And for that reason, they realized that One For All was coming toward the end of its lifespan. So meaning that it was mature and it can only be passed to another quirkless person. It should be with their knowledge now. But even if someone had a quirk, they're you might need this. But a quirkless person that needs power is how they put it. But they also determined that this is probably the last cycle of One For All through their observations. So, will it be? We don't know. But we do know a lot more about it now. So One For All, the origins, and Deku is possibly the last user because it's reached its mature stage. Okay, but they said he can pass it on. a little, not confusing per se, just a little vague as to what they were getting at. But it was a lot of information about One For All, more than we got in the whole series. And Deku could be the last user. I mean, all the quirks are manifesting in him as well. He can use all the quirks of the past users. But again, it doesn't seem to have any ill effect on him. So, okay. Well, aside from his, original issues using One For All. But having all the quirks, in and of itself, that particular aspect doesn't seem to bother him. So, yeah. I'm excited to see more. Like I've said before, this show has a strong mystery element to it as anything else, as the animation, as the fighting, as the comedy. It has like a very powerful and like it's running through the whole show, mystery element. So I'm watching, I'm tuning in live, just as you are, in real time, trying to see what's going on. I might start reading the manga. I say that every week. It might be time to start reading the manga. Okay, and that's it. It's My Hero. What do I have to say? I get on here and tell y'all how dope this show is, because it is. It's crazy. It's crazy. Pure excellence. Watched last week's review, The Wrong Way to Put Out a Fire. Another 9 out of 5. I was like, how can they top? That episode was insane. And this episode was insane. So here we go. Ant-Man Quantumania. That comes out in like 2 weeks. Bless you. Be ready for that review. I mean, now we're getting back into the Marvel circuit. My roots on this channel as far as reviews. So man, get ready for that. We're about to turn up. Let's get it. Secret Invasion. Nick Fury, Samuel L. That's coming out soon. Be ready for that review. Bless you again. I got you on that. TDJ Recommendations, of course. Disliked. A mobile game, but like actually legit. Like, check that out. The graphics, everything about it. Super legit. And Google Fi. Another great service, in my opinion, the best cell phone service. I would highly recommend it. That's why it's on the recommendations. This isn't sponsored by anyone or anything. It's just me to you being like, hey, get on this. You need to get on this. And as I always say, because I genuinely mean it, stay up. Never want to be this direction in life. Always this direction. This way. And until next time, which will be soon, you like my new set? I got y'all hooked up. I'll actually put the links for these Legos down below so you can get those as well. And that's all I got for you. I'm going to see you soon. Peace!